Greetings and salutations to all you folks out there. I am back, and I do literally mean I am back this time around. I've been out of town for about 3 days. All the videos that you've been seeing have been pre-recorded, and I am finally back in my comfy office chair in front of my microphone recording another video, and it feels fantastic. This one's going to be on Finn's Revenge, and it's between Yorick and TA for Life. It's a symmetrical Aeon versus Aeon matchup. Both of these guys, 1600, 1700 rank, both of them about the same level. And this is actually an under 1800 map from the running tournament that is going on consistently at FAF. If you want to find out about that, definitely go to the client and hit the tourney tab. No matter what ranking you are, there is a place for you in the weekly tournament. So my point in this cast is this is not a super exciting game. Nothing cataclysmic happens. In fact, it ends with a gentlemanly disconnect with a bow out on the GG. But I have not done a technical cast in a long time, and Finn's Revenge is a map that I personally, and I think quite a few people, have some trouble with because it has very few mass extractors, it has a very limited map area to exploit. Basically, you need a near perfect build order and a really good cohesive strategy to put forward in order to make things work on this map. And that's something that I have a little bit of trouble with. It's consistency. So we're going to watch both of these guys beginning build orders. We're going to watch how they handle the game and hopefully learn something today. TA for Life, he is dropping a land factory first, walking to pick up a couple of mass extractors after he makes 3 power generators in a configuration that I would think would lead to another land factory unless he plans on building some more power generators later. The hydropower plant is not really close enough to rush, although you could grab 2 mass extractors with an engineer and send a second to assist. That may be what he's planning on doing, building an air factory while that hydro is coming up. I'm not sure. We'll have to see what happens. You've got 4 mass extractors plus another 5 outlying. So the maximum you can hold is 9, maybe 10. If you succeed in getting over half of the map under your control and secure one on the other side. So we'll just have to see how he handles that. Yorick dropping 2 power generators, walking to pick up the remaining mass extractors, and 2 engineers immediately headed out to grab the hydro power plant. And that looks to be consistent with what is going on with TA for Life. So that is apparently a reliable build order, both of them spitting out a land scout relatively early in the game to shoot across. This serves 2 purposes. Number 1, of course, you get to scout the opponent's base. Number 2, it will be a pretty good ways across the map early in the game, and you'll be able to see if there is a first bomber coming out of an air factory, or even an early bomber out of a second air. So it just gives you a little forewarning of what is headed your way across the map. You can see TA for Life is shooting his scout right across where air would be incoming, and it looks like he is going to wing that scout as it comes in. He'll be able to see what's going on. As far as reclaim goes, there is a little bit of manual reclaim on this map. You can see 150 times 4 right there on the front. Plus you got some tree clumps. That's pretty much the only rocks that are available to reclaim, because I don't think there's any little pebbles or stones or whatever out here in the trees. And then there are the outside expansions on the islands. However, they do have their own radar, an anti-air, and a triad. So you can kill all this with a T1 bomber if you hit the anti-air first, then whittle the triad down a little at a time. But you do have to approach that carefully. TA for Life already gotten his boulders off the top, grabbing his forward mass extractor, and then grabbing the final boulder over there for his last 150. You can see he is at 9 mass income and 160 power. Yorick sitting on 240 power, at least for the moment. Nope, he is at 180. That was a little bit of reclaim there. A couple of tree clumps getting sucked in. And he is at 14 mass per tick. So he has expanded just a little bit more quickly than TA for Life, but looky there, TA for Life has a T1 bomber to show for his little bit slower expansion. However, there is an interceptor there. So this may be a net loss if he's not able to kill anything with that bomber. We've got the ACU moving up on the left side. He's actually going to collide directly with Yorick's commander, who is on the left as well. That bomber is going to connect with about half... No, hold on. Half health on that tank. I was not aware that Aeon bombers could do half damage. Maybe it isn't. Maybe that is something from... Nope, it was probably an interaction with that tank. That's what it was. Neither tank died, neither scout died. They are both kind of winging around each other's edges over there. Yorick is going to find TA for life right here in the middle of the map. They're going to exchange a few blows, some fisticuffs between gentlemen, fisticuffs. Yeah, it's probably going to be 50 shots dealt before it's over with, but they are just going to kind of walk along hand in hand, firing plasma bolts at each other. On the south side, this Aurora is moving around the outside edge, and that's something to remember. Both of these guys have hover tanks, both of them. So it's going to be not an advantage for either side, but it opens up the entire map. They're not restricted to movement across the narrow necks like most factions are. 2 Auroras and a Scout versus 1 Aurora at 20 health. I think we all know who wins that one, even though that Scout just got shot down. And then TA for life does have 1 Aurora out over here. That's going to help with that. But it does look like Yorick may be, at least in the early portion, slightly outproducing TA for life. TA for life on 764 income. I'm actually going to slow down here just a little bit so we can take a look. He is on 18 income with 767 reclaim on 240 power income, exactly the same as Yorick. All the way across, except Yorick has a slightly inferior amount of reclaim. And it looks like Yorick is building a highly efficient grid here to get as much adjacency as he can out of the most things that he can. That would be his mass extractors, his power generators, all that jazz. TA for life effectively stopping that stab on the right, and he is going to eliminate this little position in the front, which at first doesn't look like much, but you're killing a radar, which is a pretty significant amount of mass, a mass extractor, and an engineer. And on this map, every tiny little thing counts. TA for life and Yorick down about the same amount on HP. It looks like there's a slightly superior tank presence on the left side, but there are units flowing in for TA for life on there, so I don't think that's anything that's going to affect too much. TA for life is not building as many factories adjacent as Yorick is. I'm not sure how that's going to work out for him, because he does have a little bit of a superior presence at the moment, but this, even though it's just a tiny, insignificant amount of mass, when you're talking about people that are not upgrading mass extractors, that are making the most out of the T1 phase of the game, it's going to end up being where Yorick has just a couple extra tanks, and that may be all that it takes. TA for life under some pretty heavy damage, 49, well, 51, I guess it's still about the same, and there's still some fainting happening over on the right and the left. Units just barely touching together and skirting back, trying not to take too much damage. Keep all of those valuable tanks alive. TA for life currently sitting on an advantage because he will be able to get a nice little bit of reclaim from this ground that he is pushed forward into. And he does have a very, very slightly superior income, because he's killed 2 mass extractors on Yorick's side. That is 15 income with 454 mass reclaimed. He actually has not reclaimed his boulder on this side yet. And 260 power versus 240 power. 1 less PGen built. 1,100 reclaim. And 18 mass per tick. So that is a pretty significant advantage towards TA for life. Yes, he is not doing things quite as efficiently with his factory layout, but he is securing that all-important reclaim at this phase of the game. Looks like Yorick has moved forward, capped the mass extractor on this side. That, my friends, is a fake point defense. That is a fake out if you've ever seen one. TA for life setting that 9th wall section in the center. When scouts see that, he will freak out because he'll think that there's a point defense there, which of course is terribly effective versus Auroras. You will lose dozens of Auroras versus a single point defense, and he will probably shrink that back from that position until he sees what's actually there. But he's walking his ACU in, so he is going to have sight of it, not be worried, and he'll be able to push all those tanks up where there is, in reality, very, very little defending. TA for life hitting the left side, and remember that this is an unupgraded commander, so that means Auroras outrange it. He is moving away from his commander with the tanks, which seems to be a little dangerous. There is a T1 bomber out here, just like I was talking about. Single bomber slowly whittling away at the island, opening that up for another expansion. 2 mass extractors Again, not very many on most maps, but 2 mass extractors in a map this small make all the difference in the world. It looks like TA and Yorick are basically playing musical chairs. I'm wondering if there's going to be a base trade, because these guys look like they're very close to what's necessary to pull that off. TA for Life bringing his tanks back around him, building that mass extractor up. If you can keep it alive for 18 seconds, you're mass ahead on those being built, and then Yorick eliminating the one in front right there. So at the moment, TA for Life sitting on 16 mass income for losing that mass extractor, still ticking up on the reclaim, 1,500 in the bank, and then Yorick sitting on 18 income, slightly higher, 260 power and 613 reclaim. So double the reclaim under TA for Life's belt. And that is making a pretty significant difference here. That T1 bomber killing off 5 units in one pass. Actually, that's 6. 6 tanks lost. That is a hard hit to take, and definitely something that TA for Life needs to knock out of the sky. That was a bit of a dodge there. Well done on that regard. And there is an actual T1 point defense. We saw a fake. There is a real one, driving that ACU back towards the water with a measly 3,600 health. We got 6,000 on TA for Life's ACU, which is healing up quite nicely, and a real point defense on this side. Again, point defense highly, highly effective when there are no T1 artilleries in the forward armies of these guys. Now, they may have T1 artillery queued in the back. Not entirely sure. Yes, there's some... Nope, I'm mistaken. So, as of yet, he only has 1 artillery in queue on that factory. So, he's not really going to have anything to break that base anytime soon. TA for Life taking some heavy damage on his commander there, but he is winning out versus these tank forces. He has, however, lost his last tank. He's got the full production of all 5 factories headed in his direction. At some point, he is going to have to dip back into the water in order to stay alive. But he has made a nice dent in the forces that Yorick has on the south side, and you can see that has freed up all of this territory, because now Yorick is having to close to the left and seal up this hit that he's taking, and TA for Life is going to be able to reclaim all of these wrecks here. He's going to be able to regain all of this territory, hopefully grab that mass extractor. There's the engineer queued right there, and that's going to get him back in this as far as map control goes. TA for Life is probably going to peek his head out of the water. Nope, he's just going to sit on the edge, reclaim a couple units. If he came right here and reclaimed all of this, he would definitely be that would be an extra thorn in the side of Yorick's. Like, not only am I going to walk right into your base and kill all of your tanks, I'm going to reclaim the wrecks right out from under your nose as well. But looks like Yorick does have a couple of engineers moving in to grab those wrecks. This actually could be very bad for TA for Life. TA took a hit on his tank count with that offensive. A couple of T1 bombers out making suicide runs. 6 kills on that one. None on this so far. T1 bombers, again, very, very effective versus Aeon T1. TA for Life is going to have to stay in the water. Too many tanks up there for his measly 4,700 health to take care of. Let's go ahead and look back at the stats. 1,300 reclaim for Yorick. He's climbing back to the top of the scoreboard. 260 power income matched with TA for Life. I find it hilarious that these guys have the exact same power income. Exactly the same. That tells you that they have refined builds. TA for Life is on 2,500 reclaim, but he is no longer exactly double. That lead in his reclaim is faltering, and I think it will falter more still because there are several wrecks here left to grab. And Yorick is making some progress in several places. He's moved in on the left side. He's moved up slightly on the neck on the right. And that engineer, if I were him, would be up in all of this mess grabbing this reclaim, because there is definitely a ton of reclaim to be had over here. It's like a heat map of where the battles have been in the last couple of minutes. It may not be current activity, but you can definitely tell where all of the death and destruction has taken its toll. You got another eruptor going down. T1 point defense littering the field on TA for Life's side. He is definitely prepping for the push that Yorick is bringing his way. And TA has gotten the island out there. So we're back up at 1919 income, even though TA for Life is missing a couple of his mass extractors. All thanks to that island out there. I'd love to see another T1 bomber go to the south side and do the same thing. Hydro going down for Yorick. Normally a Hydro is not that big of a deal, but that knocks him down to 180 power, heavy power stall incoming, as he is still trying to use all of his mass. There it is, 246 in the hole on intervals, and he's just walked into a T1 point defense. He's going to have to get the hell out of Dodge. That point defense coming online just in time to save the build power on TA for Life's side of the map. TA for Life having to head back into the water. Yorick up on 200 power income. Looks like there's a point defense going down there to discourage any more incursions into his territory, and he is going to need to pick up that hydrocarbon very, very quickly, because that building is absolutely invaluable when you're talking about a map like Finn's Revenge. A point defense is not going to do much good versus a bomber. I can tell you that. That is a fact of life. I like the torpedo defense and sonar on this side. That's going to let Yorick keep track of where TA for Life's ACU is, along with discouraging that ACU from coming in on the shoreline on that side. TA is going to have to stay on either the right side or on land, because these guys are keeping their ACUs a little bit close to the danger zone as far as HP is concerned. But that's because, hey, it's worth 20 T1 tanks. You got to abuse it on the combat front, otherwise you're not going to stay competitive on a map this tight. T1 point defense going down to the 3, count them, 3 mobile artillery, but hey, 3 is enough when you stay at range and kill them without walking into the point defense. Auroras are now going to be able to follow up. There's still more point defense in the back here. TA for Life's energy storage is a little exposed. Yorick grabbing the gun upgrade. He has 400 power income now. He's actually spammed up an extra 5 P-gens on this side, and he does not have energy storage quite yet. It looks like he will probably need to sink just a little bit of an investment into that, but this could pay off. He's over-invested into the power generators, and he is now eating into TA for Life's base. Was he getting the range? I did not see what his notify said. Nope, speed. He's gone for power. It's an interesting choice. I might have gone for range, but it looks like he actually doesn't have that much of a problem with combat units, because he's got a lock on TA for Life's factory. This is critical here. The hydro is down. TA for Life also compensating with T1 power generators on this side, but those 3 freaking artilleries have done horrible, horrible, terrifying things to TA for Life's base. The gun upgrade is done. That might actually guarantee a victory for Yorick on this map, because normally, like I said, those little tiny things don't steamroll in this way, but Finn's Revenge, every little detail counts. Let's see, is he getting a power storage? I would love to see power storage for that extra little bit of overcharge, because he has overbuilt power now. He's overflowing 175, probably about 100 with full use of his mass, or maybe a little more than that, 190. That would be lovely overcharge if he just had the power storage to utilize it. The bad thing about this is that the Auroras do still outrange the ACU. If he had the range upgrade, I think I would actually take the range upgrade in this situation over the damage upgrade, because he would be able to overcharge the point defense from way the hell out of range, and he would also be able to stave off those Auroras instead of getting kited like he is now. 4,800 health, being forced back into the water. TA for Life climbing back out on land on the left side. He has several point defense down over here, trying to force away that commander, but now there's yet another group of tanks on the south side, and TA for Life just doesn't have the units to deal with it because he has lost his build power. He's even having trouble keeping his mass bar down. Let's see, 8,700 reclaim versus 2,700. I was not expecting this. TA for Life, as usual, proving that he is a good reclaimer. He has a good build order, but Yorick just making those little strategic decisions that have done him a lot of good. And I think this was the critical mistake right here. TA for Life losing his build power. Yorick, or you could alternately say Yorick, doing a fantastic job of killing TA for Life's build power, forcing him to rebuild his factories on this side. But it does look like TA for Life has come back just a little bit. The question is, can he get rid of the gun comm? the GunCom is going to be the bane of his existence. He did go for Navy. That's an interesting idea. But there's 5 T1 bombers on the south side. A good pass with all 5 of those bombers would be able to take out the majority of TA for Life's build power and do really bad things to his economy as well if a couple of them hit power generators. It looks like Yorick is just straight up spamming T1 bombers at this point. He has decided that he is going to go all in on his air because TA for Life has no real interceptor presence. He has 1. Yorick has completely dominated the air game. TA for Life walking back towards that commander. He's got a lot of tanks. He's got his ACU. That ACU does double the damage, but he is vastly under health at the moment. Those bombers might actually make the difference here. Tanks dodging around. That natural twitchy movement of Auroras is sometimes really bad for you, but it does do a good job of discouraging bombers from hitting you. Nice little clumping of tanks moving up towards TA for Life. We've got point defense going down for those tanks to fall back to, because it does look like TA for Life is going for 100% Aurora production, which does make sense. He is trying to beat back an opponent. He is not trying to break a base, and that is definitely where you need tanks more than artillery. But these bombers, good lord, the bombers. Yorick now has 14 of them in the air. I was about to say easily a dozen, but it is more than that. TA for Life has 1, but there's about 10 interceptors over there that can take it out in a heartbeat should Yorick decide to do so. And that vast array of tanks that TA for Life had just a couple minutes ago, a little bit of fire from the ACU and a whole lot of bombs, and that is it. No more tanks. He is down to about a dozen tanks, some slowly streaming in from the factories over here. But good lord, that was just decimation. Yorick made exactly the right play, I think, on that. The air power is what did this in. That is glorious. TA for Life now has nothing to fight back with. He's got a T1 anti-air in the back, but nothing really to defend against the bombers much. He's now building a little air. He's got 1 interceptor over there and more producing. No assistance on it, though, and now he's got Auroras moving up in the back of the base. Hydro was not reclaimed, but TA for Life does have 500 power income via the T1 power generators. He is balanced relatively well over there. 11,000 reclaim, which is really impressive on this map. 3,900 from Yorick. So he is very nearly triple the reclaim of his opponent. He just cannot get back in this due to these bombers, and this is just heart-wrenching to watch. He made such a fantastic comeback from losing pretty much all of his build power on this side. Lots of mass extractors, lost his expansion, came back from having nearly nothing, and then had it all wiped back out by those bombers. He does have T1 not mobile, stationary anti-air emplacements, the anti-air defense, and those are slowly thinning out the bombers, but his ACU is down to half health again. More artillery in place for Yorick, beating back those point defenses. TA for Life is sitting even on mass income, down to 360 power. I think he lost some P-gens to those bombers. Yep, there and there. He is still reclaiming, but he's having trouble spending it all once again. And Yorick, holy hell, the power stall. It looks like me playing at a higher level. But I can't fault him because he is making it work. That is for sure. Engineers on this side, TA for Life. Hey, I'm going to reclaim these. That's fine. You wander over here. I'll just recycle that mass into some tanks of my own. Trying to get another land factory up and the hydro. Again, this is way more efficient than T1 power generators, but it is a single building and dies relatively easily. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. TA for Life throwing out the GG, and I do not blame him because he still is being plagued by those T1 bombers, knocked back to 220 power income again, and he is gone. That was a tight game. TA for Life saying painful game I feel you, man. I feel you, because this is the kind of thing that seems to happen to me when I'm streaming. I play what I think is a solid game, and then someone beats me upside the head with an advantage that I did not see that they were obtaining. And Yorick, just over the course of that game, building up his interceptors, slowly taking over air control. It wasn't anything super flashy till right at the end when he just started straight up spamming bombers with, what is that, 7 engineers assisting the T1 air factory, and just obliterated TA for Life's forces. That's the kind of thing that flips games. And TA for Life, fantastic though he was with all of that reclaim and managing his resources well, getting his spam back online, recovering so well, when you have no anti-air, either mobile or stationary, when 14 freaking bombers come your way, there's just nothing that you can do about it. Solid game from both of these guys. It's interesting that they both went for nearly the same early build. That is something that I think we should all file away in our memory bank, save that for a rainy day when we draw Finn's Revenge in the ladder, and yeah, remember how this played out. Bear in mind, no T2 Mass Extractor upgrades whatsoever, except for TA for Life's. I did not even see that. He got that when he was overflowing mass, I'm sure of it. He had no other way to spend his income. So he's like, I'm not overflowing mass. I am going to get a T2 Mex, even though that's not something that you do when you're T1 spamming. So yeah, there is that thing giving, it's the caster's curse, I'm telling you. As soon as you say something, you realize you're wrong. All right, I'm going to quit rambling. That is that. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little different style from what I typically do, but I enjoy delving into these things a little bit deeper every once in a while. Hopefully you learn something. I'm sure that if I said anything incorrectly or made any incorrect observations, the higher ranking players will be in the comments to correct me, and I appreciate that. So after you watch this, definitely hit the comments section just to see what notes have been added to my commentary. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.